Hey there everyone, Noir here and welcome to Fan Theories. Before we begin, if you are new to this series or if you haven't seen Catghost, I would highly suggest pausing this video and watching those first, because throughout this series I will be referring back to previous points I have made to improve upon them. I'll give you a couple of seconds here to do that and then you can carry on after you've caught up. Okay, so here we are at episode 9, aptly named Welcome Home. This episode couldn't have landed at a better time for me, considering that I've just finished moving to a new home, and I was already musing upon what I should tackle next when it comes to analyses. Thanks for making that thought process a lot easier to handle, guys. The episode begins with the characters finally being greeted to their new forms, Gideon being a tree stump, Nara seemingly ending up as a cephalopod, and Elon is a bat. This appears to be a direct continuation of the story, with their time in the void now being over, and it has led them to some form of warehouse? I don't know. Something to note, however, is the very first thing that we see is the egg floating in the void, which could mean that their current dimension, characters included, are inside of it. More on that later. Where Nara and Gideon appear to be pleased with their new forms, perhaps seeing it as progression rather than a step backwards, Elon is displeased by her new body and immediately attempts to kill a frog, which may or may not be another person from their old home, like the banana was. So with this in mind, alongside previous mentions of Elon and Nara's need for souls, it's safe to assume that the reason why they need souls is so that Elon can attempt to use them as a way to get their old bodies back. However, based on Gideon and Nara's reaction to their new forms, perhaps over time, they've either forgotten what the endgame is, or they were unaware of it entirely and assumed that this was the intention all along. Then we meet the animal version of Malone, who appears to have ended up as a spider. She berates Elon for trying to control everything, then tells her that she's merely following a predetermined sequence of events. Moving back to Gideon and Nara, they stumble upon an old computer monitor which depicts the Dark Forest from episode 1's Happy Birthday game, with 3 skeletal figures, a pile of bones, and what appears to be a crook and possibly a basket. 2 of these figures we already know to be Elon and Nara, but I can only assume that the 3rd figure is Malone. Perhaps this scene is a representation of the 3 of them killing Gideon or someone else. But until I have more information to go on, I can only speculate on its significance. Moving on, Elon mentions that she was trapped in her current predicament because of Malone, to which Malone remarks that she assumes this to be the reason that Elon ran away, something that we have seen mentioned before in Void 2. My guess is that they were trying to escape persecution, but Elon ran from Malone and went somewhere else instead. Finally, we see Malone tell Elon that her time is up. The computer monitor emits blinding light, and we end the episode on the egg cracking. Considering what was being discussed throughout this episode, it's possible that the egg contains their dimension and the crack signifies its metaphorical birth. Alright, onto the game called Midnight, which may relate back to the letter that Gideon was reading in episode 2 that was signed Midnight Occult. In this game, you play as the avatar of Beth in what looks to be a Native American village filled with huts to enter. Upon entering, each one has a different sentence that appears, aside from the red one, which holds a family asleep with their baby. If you walk over the baby's sprite, which obviously means that you have kidnapped the child, the game takes control of your mouse to write the word run, and your goal is to reach the bridge and escape the townsfolk, hell-bent on reclaiming the child and killing Beth in the process. Of course, the canonical ending to this game is that Beth managed to escape, because it's almost guaranteed that the baby that she stole was in fact Nara, which means that Gideon is indeed her adopted father. I would like to note the fact that I spent over 14 hours playing this game, cataloguing every single sentence within the huts, until I started to notice that some of them were just repeating themselves. So as far as I can tell, the sentences are either intended to be interpreted from the letters that are filled in, or they're not intended to be deciphered at all. Either that, or I need to spend even more time attempting to decipher them, which I'm hoping is not the case. 14 hours is a long time to play a game non-stop, while screenshotting every single hut just to see if any differences are made. And that brings this analysis to a close. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, let me know what your thoughts and theories are in the comments section, and even if you didn't, let me know how I can improve the series for you. Until next time, people, keep on surviving.